All right, everyone. Can you all hear and see me? Feel free to turn your cameras on. I see you, Steph. I see you, Jordan. Emmanuel. Hey, Reggie. I'm too hype. Hey, DJ, Adwa, and Reese. What's up, y'all?
Nothing much.
All right. Well, I'm super excited to have you all aboard. So everyone, welcome to the Mentor Me Collective Virtual Holiday Party non-technical panel where I have brought in some amazing folks from the village who are going to speak to the careers that they have had and do have within tech, doing non-technical roles and really fulfilling out their passions and all the different skills that they've been able to leverage throughout the space. So for starters, again, my name is Chanel. I am the CEO and founder of the Mentor Me Collective. I'm also a software engineer by day as well at Apple, so I'm super excited about that. And the purpose of this platform is to really just give space for our community to learn, grow, and to lean into conversations where we're able to learn about our origin stories, understand that there are folks out here doing the work that you would like to do, but most importantly, that you have people that will advocate for you and support you throughout the way, throughout your process, I should say, and all throughout the way. So very excited to have you all. If you all are excited as well, go ahead and drop some fire emojis in the chat. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll let us begin doing introductions. So I'm going to actually pass it on over to Jordan.
My name is Jordan Ali. I am an account strategist out of Google on our mid-market sales team. So I pretty much handle the ad sales for companies spending anywhere from $500,000 to $40 million a quarter on all of the Google platforms.
All right, you just dropping the millies out there. All right. I'm going to pass it on over to Reggie.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Reginald Matthews, and I am on the legal team over at Calendly. I handle everything from IP to marketing to transactions to data privacy and security to customer questions about legal issues. Everything you can think of, I pretty much touch over there. So
that is amazing. And that is a tool that we very much use and very much love here in the tech space. Hashtag Calendly, making our lives much easier. But passing the torch on over to Stephanie.
Hey, what's up, everyone? So I'm Stephanie. I'm the CEO and founder of MaxUp. So I'm a career coach, and that's what I do on this side. And on my day-to-day, I work in public accounting, then went to banking, then ended up at tech. So that's kind of how the whole non-technical came to life. My first intern at Google within their finance team, and then eventually got the full-time offer. So I work with the hardware team. So I'm pretty sure you all have seen the Google Pixel phones and all this fancy stuff that we have. So we're the team behind making part of that process happen. So excited to be talking to you all about how you can maybe be, accounting / finance / operations at a tech company.
Love it. I want to pass it on over to Reese.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Reese Bearden. I'm a customer success account manager at Microsoft. So basically, I manage accounts that use our cloud on a commercial level, basically to be able to run their business. So anything in security or Azure, pretty much the whole world of the cloud and everything that falls under that, which is seeming to run the world nowadays. I pretty much am the liaison between the customer and Microsoft. So basically solving their issues, solving their problems, and then hopefully delivering all those solutions promptly. So glad to be here. Shout out to it being Founders Day for Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. You know what I'm saying? 06 to the good bros. Anybody's on the call. So
I love it. Pass it on over to Adwa.
Hi, my name is Adwa. I currently work at a startup called Narrative, and it's kind of a performance / affiliate marketing hybrid. My title is Creator Growth Manager, which is kind of just a fancy word of saying that I consult with YouTubers and influencers and creators. I specifically work in the beauty vertical. So I consult with them on how to utilize our affiliate / performance marketing technology in order to maximize their earnings, because our tech is different from other affiliate links where you would make a singular link for one product. One link can take you to multiple different merchants as long as the merchants are partnered with our company.
I love that. And passing it on over to you, DJ.
Hey, DJ Johnson. I'm actually a Microsoft Data and AI Specialist Rep. So I work with people like Reese on expanding our customers' Azure footprint. Oddly enough, I'm a senior account executive now, which is crazy to even think about. So dropping some numbers too, Jordan. We just closed a deal with Barracuda for $67 million. I was on that, a big part of that. And on the side, I also run my own nonprofit. It's called iTech, where we help people get jobs in Silicon Valley, on top of helping young kids in inner city get exposure to technology and coding. So I'm happy to be on the panel today.
Love it. And I'm so excited to have you all. But last but not least, we have Emmanuel.
Issues.
We can hear you now. We can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So hi, everybody. My name is Emmanuel Duran. You can call me Manny. And I am a startup banking associate at Silicon Valley Bank. So I'm like at the intersection of finance and tech. And basically what I do there, I like to call it a corporate Shark Tank. I just meet with founders all day and they tell us about their business ideas and we decide what are the best avenues for funding given their business model.
Well, I absolutely love it. And like I said, I'm super excited to have each and every one of you here because each of you are doing some pretty incredible things within the space. And again, it has nothing to do with engineering, data science, well, kind of y'all down there in the middle section, but in regards to like the hardcore coding and all of that kind of stuff. So I definitely want to give space and have folks kind of lean into these conversations and talk a little bit more about how a person who's looking to get into tech, maybe leverage the skills that they have, maybe don't want to really go back to school and spend so much money on getting a technical degree, but really want to make sure that they can like kind of start in something or in somewhere. So, or somewhere. So I would love to hear any advice that you would give to someone who's looking to, again, pivot into your specific career and the tools and steps that it took for you all to get there.
I guess I can jump in here. I'm actually, so I didn't speak about it in my intro, but I'm newer to tech. So I worked at PepsiCo for 7 years and actually just got the job at Google over the summer. So I was in a lot of people's shoes that are probably viewing this, trying to jump industries to something that I've always wanted to, but I didn't have the technical background. But really, like a lot of these tech companies, from what I'm understanding now, is that they're looking more at not necessarily experience, but your skill set, because skills can always be transferable and everything that needs to be taught from a technical standpoint will be taught once you're inside the company. So really my advice is what I did was keep my resume very broad. Like I have a lot of food service experience in selling in food service and consulting their business, but a lot of those like overarching skills that I used in my day-to-day at Pepsi did transfer. But if I were to just have pigeonholed myself on my resume or the way that I kind of sold myself as I'm a food service sales rep, then I wouldn't have gotten a lot of the looks at the companies that I did. So really just broadening your experience, tailoring your resume to any application that you're looking for, and also just using LinkedIn to connect with the right people. What I was doing was like filtering LinkedIn by people who worked at Pepsi that now are at Google, so that I could use that as, hey, what did you do? Like, I want to get to where you are. You were in my shoes however many years ago. Like, what did you do to make that jump? And then I received all these different advice from these different people that came from my world that were in the world that I was trying to get to.
That was some really awesome advice. Anyone else want to kind of share their thoughts as well?
I would say I work with a lot of people that are trying to break into tech, that are trying to pivot. I think the biggest thing is the degrees are not as important as they used to be now, but those certifications, so like Udemy, Coursera, Azure has a search that you can get. And it's really kind of like wherever you're coming from, start kind of doing research on that industry, right? So if you're coming, for example, from like hospitality, there's technology in hospitality. So if you can go to a Microsoft or Google or Amazon and speak to what's going on in that industry and how it's changing, how tech can be applied to that, now you're going to become that much more valuable to that company. Because to Jordan's point, every company is looking for differentiators, right? They want you to hit the ground running. How are you going to help us drive that number? And especially not knowing how to code and all that kind of stuff. They will know that you got those soft transferable skills that you can actually kind of hit the ground day one and do what you need to do to help them drive that revenue. So that would be my advice to people.
Yeah, go ahead, Manny. Wait, you're muted. Manny. Wait, unmute yourself. Oh, okay. Well, I'll let you do your thing and get that situated. But go ahead, Reggie.
I think. Oh,
No.
go ahead.
Oh, Stephanie, do you want to? I think one of the things that helped me, although mine's a little bit different, being in law, the degree is in the bar license is important. But I remember in my interviews going to Calendly that being teachable and being willing to learn and understanding that yes, you don't know everything. This is the opportunity to use those skills like Jordan and DJ said to hit the ground running and to hit those KPIs and those numbers, but also be willing to learn a different sector of the business or a different area that either you can help improve and be an asset to that company.
Absolutely. And yeah, I know Stephanie, you wanted to chime in, so you totally can as well.
Oh yeah, I was gonna talk about as well. If you have any projects that you work on, make sure you, number one, talk about those projects, and two, if you can, learn about what are some of the, because here's the thing, when you study, so I like to study job descriptions. I know I'm weird, but basically I would choose like my top 5 companies. I would put the job descriptions and I would read what are some of the main tech like core skills that are needed across the board. For example, in my case as a financial analyst, I know SQL, Excel, Tableau, those like core data / finance skills were really needed, and it's something that you'll always see over and over in all the job descriptions. So what I would do is, aside from like learning the skill, right, using Udemy, Coursera, I would always try to do a project that's related to the industry I want to go in. So if I want to go into Google, I would do, you know, an analysis of a tech company that has done amazing recently, that has launched, you know, products in the past, and that's what I would talk about with recruiters, and that's what I would talk about with people, and I would actually get feedback from people that do this on a daily basis, you know, and that would be the main point of conversation. So if you understand what they're needing, so their pain points, but also like what you can add value to, even if you don't have that background, that's going to make you more marketable, and you know, you're going to stand out as the best candidate because you don't only come from a diverse background, but you also understand like what they need and how you can prepare for it.
That was also really good. Manny, did you want to chime back in?
Yes, and I think it's working now. I think I was able to unmute. Let's go. I think that one of the things that's helped me out was because I'm trying to be like in the business of like people and making connections. It's like sales, but also a lot of kind of like relationship management, portfolio management, was getting in front of the hiring managers and the people that were relevant using those skills already. So I would oftentimes find the right person to connect with on LinkedIn and reach out. And that seems like a small thing, but I think they were always like, oh, this person was able to do their research and get to me without having to like do the resume or like applying through like what I like to call the black portals, because nothing ever comes out of those sometimes. So just like getting myself there with the skills that I'm about to use in the role, and then they were like, oh, this is probably like an appropriate person. So I think those small things, even before you apply, are also helpful in being noticed.
No, that's such a great point. And you know me, I'm really big and I advocate for LinkedIn, especially making sure like your profile is clear and what you like, who you are, what skills you have, and like obviously your passions as well, but also how do you utilize those skills to market yourself to the right professionals. So absolutely +1 to that. I would love us to pivot to a different space and kind of lean into what a typical day looks like in your role. And I would love to start off with Reese.
A typical day in my role, I wouldn't say there is one. Like, I think customer success kind of goes around like working with customers. And DJ, you know, I didn't know you were at AE, so I work directly with the account executives a lot. It revolves around what the customer wants, you know, and it kind of goes to the answer to the other question of how we pivot into this. If you have this skill of problem solving, you can really thrive, I feel like, in tech, because I think everything comes down to that, no matter where you're at. It kind of comes down to being able to problem solve, whether it's in music, whether it's in LinkedIn, socially, or whether it's in Microsoft in the cloud, all comes around to that. So like with that being said, with it kind of being changing, there is no standard day. I don't know what you guys see, but I don't think there is a standard day. But I normally would come on, you know, the normal email check, Teams check. And then usually I'll come on and then get into meetings with normally my account team, like the account executive or the account strategist, kind of talk around what they're meeting around, what's different workloads they're working around, whether it's, you know, around Azure security. And then I'll take on my workload. I usually will have a set of a list of things that I have to get done for that day or that week. With it being customer facing, there might be a lot of things that pop up with the customer where they'll have just random questions or random thoughts. You have to kind of turn those into conversations around how to drive it to make better business. So it's kind of impromptu. You know, I think customer facing roles are very much like that because they're kind of changing as well. They might wake up one morning and say, we want to do this. And then it's like, oh, do we have a change of business? Now it changes what you're doing because everything we do revolves around them. So anything that's kind of customer facing and kind of always ever changing, there is no standard day to answer the question. But it starts the same. It normally ends very differently, better than others sometimes. So I
love that.
Customer facing roles is definitely ever changing, but mostly you're working around what their business objectives are and making that happen. So.
No, I absolutely love that. And that is really cool to know as well, because I know also customer success is one of the spaces that is so very important to the business, but a lot of people just don't know too much about that. So it's really cool that you kind of shed light on what that looks like, especially on your end, but also on the customer end. Would love to kind of hear what the typical day-to-day looks like for you, Jordan.
I would say it's pretty similar to Reese. It's not typical at all. I am in a customer facing role as well. So, you know, day to day, I'm meeting with clients, trying to understand what their business objectives are, and then trying to match like what Google has and what we can do to strategize to meet those objectives using all of the different channels. We meet internally with product teams to like learn YouTube and a lot of the different offerings that we have a lot more. And then on top of that, I mean, networking is key, and not only in your day-to-day responsibilities, but in your ability to kind of your trajectory within the company. So I'm usually meeting with someone new, hopefully every week. I'm looking in our internal system at a team that I may want to get to in a few years. I'm pinging them, I'm getting on their calendar, and I'm trying to talk to them. Even if it's a job that may be out of my reach, they at least can maybe put me on a project in the near future, just so that I can gain that experience that I need to kind of get to where I want to go within the company.
Wow, I love that. Very cool to hear that. That is very similar in regard to the or the customer facing roles. Would love to pivot now into a different industry and space, digital marketing, and kind of hear about the things that you're doing, Adjoa, when it comes to beauty and influencers.
So for me, I'll say I usually start off my day with obviously checking my emails, seeing if any of my creators email me with any questions they have. If we have any meetings, usually in the morning, go to that. But if not, then I would go to their YouTube channel, see what they've posted, go on their Instagram, see if they post anything, if they've opted into campaigns, which is just means like an elevated commission rate that our brand partners are offering in order to incentivize people to sometimes create more content around either their particular product, because sometimes we also partner with the direct brands and also with retailers who sell a bunch of brands. So if they opted in for that higher commission, seeing if they actually did post any content about that particular product, and just also sending emails like of encouragement. If I see maybe I have a creator who just got onboarded and put into my book of business is what we call it, then I would maybe send an email saying, hey, I see that you just earned this amount of money with this particular brand. I know maybe there's a sale coming up soon at, let's say hypothetically like Sephora, and that product might be on sale. Maybe it'll be a good idea for you to create some links and the thing with our technology is you can turn off the dynamic linking, which means that if you make a link for Sephora and you turn off our feature, it will only go to that particular website. So it won't take you to any other website that also has that particular product. So that's just like advice sometimes I would give. There's like a sales going on for a particular brand, like maybe turning off your links and creating content for that, because this way it's more likely people can convert on that website since the product will be cheaper than going anywhere else. So those are those type of conversations I just have with my creators on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. And I know we have another industry that's really cool too, with the legal. That can be, I guess, customer facing and not. So I'm really interested in hearing what that looks like.
I was gonna say I'm all over the place, whether it's customer facing or internal. My phone usually starts ringing about 6 a.m. or 7, depending on what time of the month it is. However, I roll over until about 9 a.m. when I actually log on, and then I'll answer those emails. Jordan and DJ understand how busy and how crazy end of month and end of quarter can be. So if it's, kind of a sales driven week, I'm negotiating anywhere from 10 to 20 agreements in a week to try and close those deals, including DPAs for data privacy and security reasons or other compliance standards in the financial space. And then we also kind of touch other projects. So like I'm currently working on, revamping all of Calendly's customer success departments and their documentation and their agreements, building out new workflows for those teams, working with our engineering team. So it's a lot of meetings, a lot of phone calls, a lot of, being everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So I always make the joke saying that I just kind of go to whoever screams the loudest in the morning and work on that project, and then we'll see what happens the rest of the day.
Oh my gosh, Reggie, you are absolutely hilarious. Because that is so true. I'll also put that, I guess, with my engineering career, same thing. Whoever is screaming the loudest, whatever is more priority. That's so cool. But anyway, I digress. I would love to kind of lean into another space and hear about specifically what are some things that you wish you would have known before you got into the space, right? So obviously there was a journey from A to B to C, and then maybe here getting into the space. But what are some things that you wish you would have known that would have helped you be even a little bit more successful in preparing for the role earlier on that you have discovered throughout your tenure currently? And anyone can feel free to jump at this question.
I can answer. I came to be an account manager right out of college, undergrad. And I have an engineering background. I did industrial and system engineering out of college. And customer success account manager is a little bit more on the cloud IT side. We work a lot with the IT and support of these customers that actually do the day-to-day work to get a lot of these products deployed. And I wish I had a little bit more background on the industry. I think having to work and be able to communicate a lot of what we work around, I had to do a lot of catch up compared to a lot of the people I might have been working internally with, because they might have had that background or might have came from not college. They might have came from another company that did similar work. And it wasn't the worst. It just took a little extra work to, get those certifications that DJ talked about, which really matter a lot, in this industry, especially when you're working with customers that are really trained in it. They'll call you and they're coming to you hey, we need to get this Azure that, with all these big terms that probably you haven't heard if you weren't educated in this realm. So it's a lot of catching up that you have to do. And really, there was time to prepare for it in between when I got the job and when I started, but senior year of college took over that. So I wish I could have prepared a little bit more for that, and had a little bit more background to understand. Because if you have that background, then you're able to work better in the business. Because then your conversation with the customer is more fluent. And if that's fluent, then you're going to be good to go. So, yeah, I think that's kind of a domino effect. If you have better base knowledge, you'll have better customer conversations, you'll have better revenue. So, all together.
I love that, honey. We love an equation.
I'm
I'm
still an engineer at heart. I'm in customer success, but I'm still an engineer at heart.
I love it. Would anyone else want to kind of share their thoughts on that as well?
Yeah. For me, I would say
DJ, you can go ahead. Did you want to or no?
No, she's speaking. I'll go after her.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I would say for me, it was just kind of not fighting what your passion or what even something that you think is a hobby that you spend a lot of your time doing when you were younger, taking that seriously. And because now in hindsight, a lot of what I spent my time in high school, middle school was on YouTube and watching beauty creators or following them on Instagram. And I thought of that as just more of something that you do to pass the time by, and never taking it seriously as if you can have a career that's involving any of that aspect of social media, of the beauty industry or tech in any way. So once I realized that there was industries that value that knowledge or that passion, then I actually just kind of went full force into that instead of trying to find more traditional jobs that isn't naturally what I consume on a daily basis. And it's easier for me to work with beauty creators if I've been following different type of beauty creators for years, because I understand what they're talking about. Maybe I understand the products they're referring to. So it just flows better.
No, that's amazing. I think the biggest thing for me coming in, I wish I would have networked laterally, because I feel like so many times, especially for like young people, you're so ambitious, you're so eager, you're trying to like go all the way up to, like, for my example, you're trying to go up to like a VP of sales. Um, and you like, I mean, everybody has to start somewhere, right? And like as you grow and go up, you might have met somebody on this level that can help you kind of ascend with them. But I know that I talk to so many people and they're like, oh, I don't talk to anybody if they're not at a certain level. I only talk with, a C-level suite executive. And it's like, dude, like they got their network already. They'll probably let you in, but like it's not going to be the same versus like really kind of like any relationship, like growing with that person organically. Because I know for me, like when I came into my first sales role, I wanted so bad to like have like all these like great high up connections. But like lo and behold, like all of my friends now, we're on that level where we wanted to get to, but we all had to kind of start at that same kind of level and plateau. And now we're all just kind of ascended up. And I think just really just understand, like, you got to start somewhere. You don't have to go all the way to the top first. Like, just take your time. And if you're networking right, investing in people, like, you'll be okay when it's all said and done.
I really love what you said there in regards to like networking laterally and building like your community and your village that way. Is that something that, and this is a question to you, DJ, is this something that you learned through a mentor, or is this something that you learned kind of like as you have been going throughout your journey?
I learned like through the school of like hard knocks. I was like, because I kept on trying to connect with people like that were up here, but and it's, I was 23 at the time, so I'm like, I'm not knowing, right? I'm thinking like, why this person not emailing me back, or why they're not, why are they not engaging with me? They're not hitting me up on IM. But it's like, now that I am on that level, like I got a lot of stuff during the day. Like Reese said, like none of my days are the same, so it's kind of hard to like get to everybody. So it's like, just start off and build your community the way you want to build it. And if you guys are all accountable and challenging each other, you'll get to where you're going to be at. Like it's a revolving door. Like one day I'll probably end up being a VP. I'm going to retire. Whoever under me going to end up being a VP. So if you work it that way, you'll be completely fine.
That's such great advice. Yeah. Manny, did you want to say something? You look like you wanted to say something. No? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I guess this was a bit on Adwa's point, but I guess the piece of advice that comes with it is just to like, even if you are in like the more traditional workplace, or if you are at work, to be like open and free to say the things that interest you, even if it doesn't seem to directly correlate with your place of work. Like I'm in finance, working with startups, and I like my lifelong passion has always been learning languages. So when I took this job, I thought that there was going to be no space for that. And once I started articulating that, it seemed that there was a need. And like now I'm on like the Middle Eastern accounts, all the Spanish speaking accounts, and that has really been able to distinguish me from other associates. But I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I thought, oh, these are two different realms. And it took some like courage to be able to say, like, actually, like, this is what I really like to do, like on my own time. Is there space for that? And it turns out there was, so you never know.
That's so good. That's such a great point. And I love just the common thread here where, if you just find a nice sweet spot where you can balance the two of like the professional work, but also the work of your passion, you'll be able to marry that also in your role. So I love that. Taking a pivot now, and it wouldn't be an MMC panel without talking about mentorship. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Like, what has been your journey with mentors? You know what I mean? Good or bad, but would love for you to kind of talk about that and also talk about what you value as either a mentor or as a mentee in that relationship.
I can start us off with that one. So I remember one of my first mentors, the way the whole mentorship relationship happening, something that's important for people out there. When you hear the word mentorship, you think that you have to ask someone to be your mentor, and that's not the case, right? You're not going to go up to someone and say, hey, can you be my mentor, right? It should be something that happens organically and naturally. I remember when I had one of my first mentors, the way it happened was that I was one of the only people that would follow up with him. And a lot of you will be like in the audience will be surprised, but you will be surprised. I'm one of the people that don't follow up, right? You message someone for the first time, or you try to connect with them. They spend the time, right, trying to give you advice about whatever it is that you need help with, but then the follow-up doesn't really happen. And then all the relationship building that was happening there already dies. And so I would say mentorship and following up, it's kind of like they go hand in hand. So the reason why I kind of became his mentee, and he actually wanted to become not just a mentor, but also a sponsor, so he kind of advocate for me on different spaces, was because I was one of the only people I would follow up with him. And I would care about him as, also like what he was doing. And I remember when I reached out to him, he was working at Google. Then he went to Cisco, and then he left corporate to go full time with his startup. So I was there throughout all those transitions, indirectly kind of like helping him by just, asking about how things were going and just offering my help. And so with that, I just want to say, like, if you're thinking about how can you get a mentor on different spaces, try to think about networking as sort of like a two-way street. You also adding value to the relationship, and that's kind of how you build that real mentorship experience, and you kind of get that mentorship feeling. And I think like that's what has helped me so far. It's also like now that I have also mentees, it's kind of like that feeling like they help me, right, while I help them as well. And if we try to build those type of relationships, that's going to be a huge different experience for you. And the reason why I say this is because your mentors will advocate for you. I remember I used to be on the audience, seeing my mentor speaking on stages, and now we share the same stage. Now it's no longer me looking at him. He was able to help me get on the stages that he's at, right? Get on spaces that he's at. And so you as a mentor, should be your main like goal, to advocate for your mentees. And then if you're a mentee, you should try your best to not only be on the same spaces that your mentor is at, but also helping him as well, because that's going to help you guys, like the whole thing.
I love that so very much. Y'all know that I'm super passionate about that, especially when it comes to mentorship within our communities, because we know that resources are just limited and exposure is also limited as well. So anything I can do to push forward the narrative, I really believe in, like, we stand on the shoulders of those who've come before us, and just making ourselves available to serve in that capacity is so important, even outside of the day to day. So we'd love to hear other thoughts as well. I'll pass it over to, I guess, Jordan.
I guess for me, I think it's important to find mentors in places that you want to end up. I always look at career trajectory and where you want to end up, because where you're at now may not be where you want to be in 5 years. And to kind of talk about the negative aspects of having a mentor is like my previous job, where I'm like, okay, who's the highest level person at our company that I can get in touch with? Okay, I want him to be my mentor. That's great to have someone that may look like you in the space that you're at now. But to me, I think it's holding you back, because at the end of the day, you're thinking that this is the trajectory that I have to take because it makes sense versus where I want to go. So I challenge people to find mentors in places that they may want to end up and not where they are currently. It may be more difficult, but at the end of the day, I think it's more valuable. For me, I'm in the process now of trying to do that. And I'm in touch with the director of Black culture and music at YouTube, because that's where I want to end up. He's not my mentor yet officially. He doesn't know it yet. But I'm working towards it and just meeting with him. And I just did that by finding him internally, reaching out to his admin, being persistent. I think consistency is very important. Just reaching, like what Stephanie said, like adding value to them and not just taking value, because at the end of the day, when they're in high places, they're always going to be expected, like, these people want something from me because I'm here, versus like, hey, I'm here just to talk to you. I always tell people at the end of our calls, like, I don't want this to be one and done. Like, can we schedule a monthly? I didn't necessarily ask them to be my mentor, but informally I'm saying, hey, let's keep in touch. And maybe down the road, like, this will foster into something else that will be, valuable for both of us.
Absolutely love that. And you all can feel free to pop in and share your thoughts as well.
I think for me, Chanel, the reason why I started iTech was because I remember just going through my interview process, and I was doing research. And I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right? I think it was hard for me to actually find someone who actually looked like me that was in the space. And if they were older and they didn't want to like share knowledge. And I think we always talk about this, right, Chanel? Like, we got to be the ones to share that tribal knowledge between each other, because our peers are having those conversations. You're going to get taken advantage of if you don't know what to look for, what to ask for. So that's kind of one reason when I'm talking to mentees, I'm like, hey, we're going to have some of these tough conversations. It might not always be comfortable, but here's what you need to be asking for. Here's what you need to be looking for. And to Stephanie's point, like, I have mentors that I've never even met yet. Like, you don't have to talk to somebody to be to mentor to them. Like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, you can literally learn from somebody every single day without having a one-on-one conversation with them. And to Jordan's point, you'll eventually get to that space to where you want to be, and you never know, you might be rubbing elbows with them. So I think for me, like, all the mentors that I have now, they're all like really close friends. It didn't start off that way, but it just kind of grew organically because I went in with good intent. And I think at the end of the day, when people see that you're actually trying to help other people, they're always going to be willing to jump in and kind of say, okay, like, what does DJ have going on over there? Like, he's going down to South Central LA, he's doing this, he's doing that. Like, let me hop on a call with him, and then you never know where that relationship is going to go.
I love that. I saw Reese and Adjoa. Okay, well, Reggie, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say that DJ also, you said something very, very, I think, important earlier about networking laterally and how, like, mentors come in all different, ages and experience levels. And it also doesn't really even have to be like a formal, like, you're my mentor. It could just be a friend. It could just be a buddy that's, been through what you've done before. I often think about how you just also never know where someone's going to be in 5 years. So when I was at Morehouse, as a senior, one of my mentees who was a freshman, wanted to do entertainment. I was in entertainment law, and we just kept this relationship going. As I went through law school, as I got into my career, as he graduated and went to LA, and I can think back to when he became like the executive assistant to a very, very, very important film director, and I was trying to get an actor for a film, and he helped me like close that deal and get that actor onto that film. And so you never know where someone's going to be in 5 years. So keep those open lines of communication. Never write someone off because they're not, important enough, or where you think they can help you. You just never know.
Love that. Reese and Adjoa, did you guys still want to pick? Okay, Emmanuel.
Oh, no, sorry. No,
go ahead.
Okay.
Do your thing. You're already on
Okay, cool, awesome. Quickly, I was just going to say that, like, speaking of, like, you'll never know about relationships and nurturing them. For people who are interviewing, something that I've done is if I've connected, like, in the interview process with a hiring manager, even if I didn't get the role, but I was far enough to connect with the people who were actually hiring for the role, I would just stay in touch with those connections because it was already an in. And maybe that's because I wasn't, like, petty, but I would just be like, oh, like, could I get some feedback? And then in like 2 months, be like, yo, I just interviewed for this other role and your feedback was great, and just keep like passive connection with these people. Or like, I have a question, could I ask for like some guidance here? And I don't know if like, I'm glad to see that Stephanie does that too, but yeah, like keeping in touch with the people who have already rejected you, that you're already in their system. They might call you back later. If they were helpful and you actually want to keep in touch, why not? That's just like a good avenue, I think.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, sorry, Adjoa, you go ahead.
Oh, what I was just going to say was, for me, mentoring, I've always tried to do it both ways, in the sense of receiving a mentor and also making sure that I'm doing things to mentor like the younger folks that are coming up. And I always love giving like concrete examples or avenues for people to find help. So there's this Instagram page, it's called Here to Help, and specifically for people who want to break into tech. It was started by a Black woman who works at Instagram, and she is just an Instagram page. She invites her friends to do office hours. She puts an IG story up with all their profiles, and then you can just DM them. And actually connected with this really dope woman who's a VP at Edelman. And when we were talking, eventually, like, I guess we just bonded. And when I got my offer for the job that I work at right now, I actually hit her up because she previously had worked at Amazon. And so she was familiar with tech. And the role I have now is the first tech role tech company I've ever worked at. So she actually went through my offer letter with me to help me break down, understand all the terminology that I was a little confused about. And that's another thing I want to say, like, being open. You have to be open to share those type of things with people in order for someone to help you. And even on the other side of like giving back, when I finally decided to like update my LinkedIn and everything, I wrote a post just saying about my new role. And one of the things I did was I put a Candidly link in that post, inviting anybody if they wanted to kind of like pick my brain on how to get into a non-technical role at a tech company. They can just put some time on my calendar. I've been doing that, and I was doing that even before in smaller groups that I'm a part of, like group chats. So that has been a really great way of connecting with people who do want to break into the space and kind of giving them advice. And so I can definitely put my LinkedIn like username in there. You can probably find the post, and if you want to chat with me, that's a way that you can.
Absolutely. And again, just +1 to everything that you all are saying. Yeah, I too have found mentorship through that as well, those avenues. Just like blindly reaching out as well. Like I know obviously lateral networking is great too. But like I am a person that likes to plan towards my future. And so I'm a person that I want to ask questions to people who are already in spaces that I want to get into or similar spaces. And it might be on the executive level. Some, respond and some do. So I'm like, you know what, if I send 20 messages out, by the law of probability, I'm at least going to get 2 or 3. So I've been able to do that successfully and talk to VPs and executives, amazingly, that are strong, powerful Black women, Black men that are doing some pretty incredible work as well. But also from you all, right? Being a part of your, having you all be a part of my village and tribe, I'm able to kind of ask you, hey, do you know anybody that's here? Or ask you, hey, I have a mentee that's interested in working at this company, at your company. Would you be able to have those talks and conversations? And I know I've been able to kind of reach out to majority of you for that, that help and advice too. So absolutely love that so very much. Would love to pivot into another space. So obviously last year was a really rough year within the Black and Hispanic community. There was just so many different things happening, just back to back when it came to just representation, racial discrimination, all the things. And so I would love for you to kind of share space, to shed light on how do you maintain your identity, right? With other, like within your Blackness, within like your being of a Hispanic background, like how do you bring that also to work and maintain being your full authentic selves, but also take time and space for yourself as well when there are so many different things going on in the world?
I guess I'll kick it off.
It's a loaded question, Chanel.
I guess I'll kick it off. So I'm not sure how old everybody else is on the panel, but I'm 32 years old. I've been in tech sales for about almost like 12 years now. So I think there's been like a transition from when I first stepped in into the point now. Like I know for a fact my first job, even when I was working at Dell, my hair couldn't have been like this. Like my hair couldn't have been like this. I know we had a dress code, like you had to wear button-ups, polos, and we weren't even customer facing. I was on the phone all day. I'm like, I don't know why I gotta wear this button up. Ain't nobody gonna see me. I'm not even on camera. So I think like it's been interesting to see the transition, but to kind of answer your question, Chanel, I think as I've gotten older, I know for me, like I don't do all the code switching stuff. I don't have time for it. I don't have the energy for it. And I tell them what it is up front. I'm like, hey, this is how my hair looks. I don't wear suits often. I got a lot of shoes that I can dress up for meetings and stuff. Here's kind of what I like to wear, is like to do. And I just put it up there out front. This is who I am. And if you guys don't want me, I'm pretty sure there's somebody else out there who's going to. And like, quiet as kept. I'm like, I hope that you guys don't pick me, because I'm just gonna go take all your customers at that point. So, and it's just one of those things. Like I feel like, and people like, oh, like it's cocky, it's arrogant, but it's like, bro, I don't have time to be trying to switch my voice and how I'm talking and what I'm wearing. And it's like, hey, this is 2021, bro. Like nobody got time to be doing all this. So I'm just upfront with it. That's the way I am with it. People might say it's arrogant, but that's just my success and how I've been able to really kind of thrive and stay in this space for as long as I have been.
I love that, DJ. I wanted to say, like, my experience is a little bit different. So I came to the US 5 years ago. I was not born here. So you would think that my experience, my background, everything is just different. Like the way we communicate, the way we speak. So I did have to do a little bit of code switch, not on the way I like presenting myself to others, but more so I needed to learn how people behave in the culture of another country before I could actually, identify myself as something, trying to find like that middle point where like who am I, right? So there was a little bit of identity crisis. I know a lot of people go through that on their 20s. I'm 22 right now. So I was going through that as I was entering the workforce. And if you have friends who might be going through that, like offer your help, because identity crisis is real. And it's something that we experience. Doesn't really matter the age, honestly. Like you could experience it at any point. But in terms of how do I present myself, I feel like I did have a little bit of imposter syndrome, like joining the workforce out of college. But then after seeing people that look like me on like those higher up positions, like the head of like the person who directly reports to the CEO, who is the head of the head of the head of my department, basically it's Latina just like me, and she's immigrant. And seeing people that look like me on those spaces kind of give me that little bit of push and confidence to like, she comes and show up every single day, and she just comes as she is. And and she's been doing that for a while. And it's kind of giving me that confidence as well. Like I want to do that the same thing, and I want to open up doors for those that look like me also to come in and feel the same confidence and continue that cycle or that path of opening doors to other people. So if I want others to come and join me where I am right now, I really need to manifest or show myself the way I am and build up that community and that tribe within the company that you're at. So that's kind of been my experience, and I wanted to just share it because I know there's some people who might, coming from immigrant backgrounds, and you might have like a total different experience joining in a company. And that's okay if you like feel out of space, if you just feel like you don't belong or you don't fit in. The honest truth is, if you believe in yourself, like if you believe you fit in on the company, that's what really matters at the end of the day. Because people will look at you, they will get to know you and like the way you are and the person you are, and that's what they really care about. So a lot of the times, all those thoughts that you have in your head that people will not appreciate who you are for where you come from or whatever in the company you are, in the position that you are, a lot of the times come from our head. And whatever it's here, it's going to transform into the energy and the way you behave every day in the workforce. So I would say start from understanding yourself and the way you show up. And I love how DJ just directly straightforward says like, this is who I am. You want me or not? Like that's literally the vibe. That's literally the energy. So I just wanted to share that.
I really, really love that. Go ahead, Joe. Jordan.
I guess to piggyback on what DJ and Stephanie said, I wouldn't call it arrogance or cockiness, DJ. I would say it's you're being genuine, you're being yourself. And I think when you're doing the opposite in the workforce, that's a negative thing because you're now having to live two different lives. You're DJ at home and you're DJ at work. And that's something I had to learn. Like I'm in my late 20s, I'm 28. And like I said, my first 7 years, I was at PepsiCo, which is a very traditional company. You had to wear collared shirts, tucked in shirt, like dress shoes to work every day. And like, I got to a point in my career where I was like, this isn't me. Like, I don't like doing this. I don't do this in my spare time. Like I wear Jordans. Like I like just wearing t-shirts, graphic tees. So for me, like, I think it's not a form of protest, but the same thing like DJ do. I grew my hair out. I go into the Google office and I'm wearing, like I see DJ has the Nipsey Hussle picture in the back. I have a Crenshaw shirt on and like I'm in a corporate environment with a Black owned business t-shirt, advertising an area that may not be the most nicest area in the country. And even just that form of protest for me, like gives me that value because there's employees that work there that are more, staff that see the shirt and are like, oh, like you like Nipsey, like I love Nipsey. They don't see that normally because there's not a lot of people of color in that office. But when they do see it and they see like, oh, wow, this guy works here at Google, he isn't working as a janitor or he isn't like a chef or he's actually like one of the Googlers and he's wearing a Nipsey Hussle shirt. And all these people grew up, they're all locals. I'm in LA, like they all live in this area and grew up in that area. They like to see that. And that gives me even value to just know like me being myself can give other people hope. Like I can be there. It's not just, the gentleman who is a Caucasian wearing a hoodie every day to work or a polo to work. Like you can come in and wear the Nipsey Hussle shirt and still be successful at this company.
I really love that. Go ahead, Reese.
Yeah, I agree. I love the rebel energy because I'm very much the same way. I'm Stephanie, I'm 22 as well. You know, I'm working with a lot of people older than me, but at the end of the day, you know, if you perform diligently at your job, they're not going to judge you hard, because at the end of the day, they get their solutions delivered. My internal and external, they love what I'm doing. So you can bring that culture to the workplace. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like they're not going to judge you hard, because if you're doing what you need to do, it is what it is. Because it's like, yeah, I wear these hats. That's why I have them in the background. The hats and shoes on this side. Those are my two things. And I honestly bring them into my customer calls. I'll have a hat on, and now it's come to the point where they'll be like, "Oh, you wore that one last week." Yes, I did. Like, it's kind of just like I involve it in, because like, yeah, they might judge you, but I'm doing my job diligently. So I don't want to say there's nothing you can tell me, but there's nothing you can tell me. And I don't say it like that, but you live it. You live showing them. Like, that doesn't define anything to do with who I am, what type of person. I rock the big earrings, you know what I'm saying? I usually have a chain on. Like, it doesn't matter, because I'm doing my job, and I have fun. And all that, the culture that I think I have, and the culture that you guys mentioned you guys have, it's all about how you communicate it. A lot of the people that aren't familiar with like the culture of, you know, earrings or the hair, or the, you know, the Black culture of Nipsey and Kobe and Crenshaw, or wearing hats and having this deep sneaker game, all that, you know what I'm saying, is really interesting to them, as long as you know how to communicate it. Just don't force it on anybody. It's actually just like learning history. You know, it's just our history. So I just take that to the workplace, and on top of that, I'm like, well, we also deliver these cloud solutions along with these new fitteds that I just got in the mail. So I'll just like, it's just like, I make it fun, because at the end of the day, it's you. So you're not going to get a different Reese 9 to 5, 5 to 9.
When I tell you I'm really loving these conversations, because even though I've been in this space for about 3 years now, it's something I'm newly learning. So I thought I was me fully and authentically up until this year. I realized that there was parts of me that I did not share, that I did not talk about. I felt like, you know, it was a certain hairstyle that I felt like I had to wear, or look the part, or even dress the part. So I really enjoy leaning into these conversations, and hearing how other people have dealt with it, because now, after having conversations like in these spaces with other people, I feel more confident to be comfortable in showing and showcasing my Blackness, right? When it comes to like just, you know, advocating for Black talent at my company, I'm more vocal about that. We have a flag on my chest, you know what I'm saying? Or when it comes to just sharing out like the things that we do for Black culture, when it comes to even things like Thanksgiving, like, y'all know it's a staple, you know, and I just feel like in people of color, like if you cook for Thanksgiving, that's a rites of passage, you know what I mean? So for me, you know what I'm saying, this Thanksgiving was my rites of passage, and thank God, you know what I'm saying, I wasn't in the family group chat being talked about, but it was nice. And I was able to share that with my manager, and he was actually genuinely interested. He said, so, you know, what kind of dishes do you guys make? You know what I'm saying? He's used to the casserole, and I'm like, no, we got sweet potato pie. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was able to tell him, like, let me get you hip. You know what I'm saying? Let me get you hip. And so he was excited. He even asked me, like, where can I find these things? And I said, you know what? I can educate you on that. So I think being able to be open and sharing a little bit more about you and being unapologetically you allows other people to be educated on who you are, and what you are bringing to the table in terms of diverse perspective as well. And now when we have our one-on-ones, you know what I'm saying, he's sending me different soul food recipes. You know, him and his wife are trying, you know what I'm saying? For Thanksgiving, they had a duck. I said, well, you know what I'm saying? You might want to do turkey next time. You know what I'm saying? Do a little brine or something. You know what I mean? So it's give and take. So I absolutely love that as well. So did anyone else?
Can I add one more thing to that? Because I'm so passionate about this.
Absolutely.
So like, I got into technology sales for longevity. Like, you're not gonna have longevity being somebody else or trying to do it somebody else's way. Like, you gotta be you. You're gonna last much longer. You're gonna go much further being you. You're not gonna go that far wearing a mask. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So just be you. It'll work out at the end of the day. And like I said, there's a bunch of other companies out here if that one company says no.
I love that. And Emmanuel, I saw that you wanted to say something as well, so feel free.
Yes, it was in that similar vein, Chanel, and I appreciate being on this panel just because I'm learning so much and like appreciating the energy that everybody's bringing. I think similarly, I'm just like I've been so used to navigating white spaces for so long. Like I went to like the whitest college. I'm sorry if anybody from my college is on this call, or like just like in the workplaces that I've been. That sometimes I find it hard to like distinguish, and I think it's just like doing small things like this year I finally started saying like I'm from the Bronx instead of saying I'm from New York on calls. Because I feel like for a long time that was something I was embarrassed about. And like being able to like push myself in that small way, I feel like a change in the way that it's being received and the way that I feel about it. So I appreciate everybody like sharing that and you Chanel saying that as well. Because I think it is like, you know, it is a journey sometimes on that identity crisis front.
It's a journey. Reggie, I felt like you had something you wanted to share with this, you know, with the space.
Well, no,
Just the space.
just continuing on, I think these are the things you have to ask in your interviews, though, like within reason, like, hey, what is the culture like? Like, what is the diversity in your team? What is diversity in the company? What are your DE&I practices and what are your DE&I goals down the line to bring in more, you know, people of color or different backgrounds? Because you know, you have to have, you know, those connections and those people that are also like you in your company to help you feel supported and feel engaged. And yeah, Calendly did a good job with me with that. So that's why I'm there for a long time, long haul.
I love that so very much. And again, like that was something I didn't even realize up until recently that you can do is like ask questions back. So many things, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't know what you don't know. And just being within the Black space and the Black culture. I mean, for me specifically, my family raised us where, you know, you should be seen and not heard. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a kid's table, then there's an adult's table. Like, you know, find your place. So I didn't know that there was a space that I could even have the authority to speak and to represent my own self and be authentic and being confident in speaking to like what I would like to see or have or do or advocate for myself, because I thought I had to say Mr. and Mrs. all the time. And I learned quickly, we on first name basis. Bob, Mr. Bob is my father. You know, I'm Bob. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn that. So there's so many different things that you learn, like as you go, like School of Hard Knocks, as DJ said, and you know, as you go and be in spaces like these, you can even learn from our mistakes or the things that we have done and that we have discovered that we no longer want to partake in. So absolutely. I know that we are literally closing out. So I would love for you all to share with the people how they can follow up with you and how they can stay connected with you and your journey throughout the space. Let's not all speak at once.
I put my LinkedIn in the chat, so just follow me on LinkedIn and I'll get with you guys if you ever want mentorship.
Yeah, I also put my LinkedIn on the chat as well. If you guys want, I'm actually putting out Chanel. This is a quick plug, but it's a good plug. I'm actually launching my free interview guide for people from non-technical backgrounds. So everything from in-person to phone screens to technical questions to how to follow up to it's gonna be a long guide, but I promise you it's gonna be good. I literally research with hiring managers from these tech companies, like what do they want from you all. So I'm gonna be launching that on my birthday next week. So if you're connect with me on LinkedIn, I'll be putting that up. So just a free gift for everyone in your community, Chanel.
Thank you. Thank you so, so much. I see a lot of LinkedIn's being thrown in the chats. I see Jordan's, Reggie's, DJ's, Stephanie. Reese just pulled up. Manny, did you throw your LinkedIn already in there? Please feel free to go ahead and do that, especially Audra as well. Did you throw that in there earlier on, Audra? I think you did.
Yeah, I put it in earlier, but I'll put it in again since it's probably all the way at the top now.
Please. And so again, I just want to say thank you all so very much for being on this panel. It has been phenomenal. You all have been able to share some really awesome gems, and all of us are learning from each other, which is really cool. Normally on panels, you'll hear just people just kind of talking and just answering questions. But I really like to have intentional conversations with us, especially when it's in intimate spaces like these. So thank you all so much for joining, DJ, Reggie, and Manny, Reese, Audra, Jordan, and Stephanie. We will go ahead and end up this call here. Go ahead and click leave at the upper right-hand corner. And for those of you who are still in the room, you guys can actually find me on the stage. I'm going to do a couple more announcements, talk about our winners for today, and again, just do a huge thanks to the rest of the team. So have a wonderful rest of your Saturday.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Chanel.
Bye. You're so welcome. Thank you. Bye, y'all.
Have a good one.